The Chiefs got it done with Chris Jones, securing a cornerstone of their team for the next 3 to 5 years in Kansas City. It's time to look towards the draft now that they have that defensive side mostly kind of figured out what it's going to look like. How are they going to figure out that left tackle spot? Is it going to be Wanya Morris? Is it going to be a draft pick? All we know is the Chiefs like to get the best 5 out there. So continue to draft in the trenches and figure it out as we go. That's what we're going to do today. Look towards the draft, look towards those trenches here on the RGR Football Channel. My name is Daniel Harms, Senior Film Analyst, and today we are getting into none other than Washington left tackle Troy Fautanu, who had some questions coming in to this draft cycle. Was he going to be kicking inside? Was he going to do everything that was asked him at tackle? Did he have the arm length? Well, yes, all those things. Yes, he's going to be able to play tackle, in my opinion, at the NFL level. He has over 34-inch arms. He did come in at 6'3", which some people might consider moving him to guard anyway, but I'm saying with the length, with the power, with the athletic ability that we saw on those field drills, and then we're going to see it in the tape here in just a second, put him at tackle first and let him figure out. So let's go ahead and jump in. So again, we can get into what Troy Fautanu does very, very well. Again, he is left tackle for the Washington Huskies here for most of his career there. I believe all of his starting career there. The movement skills are one of the huge highlighting factors for him as a player. Now he's coming here against Jonah Ellis, one of the guys who's going to go in the top, I don't know, probably top 50, top 60 picks as an edge rusher here, but he's moving left to right, and then Jonah Ellis moves down inside. So he's going to see number 8 come around. What they do here is that this is one of those simulated pressure looks, and I think I may have mixed up the numbers. Ellis, I believe, is 83, so don't worry about what I just said there. So Ellis is on the opposite side, but it looks like you're going to have pressure coming this way. Maybe you have a little guy, some guys mugged up here. It looks like the defense is trying to run a simulated pressure. They're going to rotate this player, number 8, around from the left-hand side to the right side, and then he's going to end up being a blitzer, quote-unquote blitzer off the right-hand side. And what the Utah Utes actually do, they're going to drop their defensive tackle from the left side, number 77, and number 83 from that side, rush 57, they're going to rush 81, and then that number 8 that's coming across to this side is going to blitz. So it looks like you're going to get a down, 4 down rushers with possible blitzes, but as Utah is shifting their defense, we see, they snap the ball, and then number 81 comes all the way down here, and he's going to come across the face into that left guard spot of the Washington offensive line, and then you're going to see number 8 come downhill here, and then just watch the change of direction. He keeps his eyes inside, then he's able to get out back to number 8, that blitzer, allowing Michael Penix Jr., who again has only 3 rushers coming to him, the ability to do that. But it's all about the movement skills. You see he's got his shoulders and his hips turned towards this direction here, and he's able to then bounce right back outside with those hips, flip him around, get hands on the rusher, and then just make it so he can't do anything. So the movement skills, the ability to see different rushers, this also translates into his ability to see how stunts are forming. He picks up stunts very well. He's got his head on a swivel at all times. And that's one of those things that we talk about specifically when it comes to offensive linemen, keeping your head on a swivel. How are you picking up those stunts? How are you seeing the blitzes change, your communication skills, and seeing all of that come down to it? This time he is against Jonah Ellis, who's got a good first step. He has a good pass rush tool bag. And again, he's going to be one of the top 50, 60 players drafted in this class. And you're going to see he's got an explosive lower half. Look at this. That drive catch technique is fantastic. It's explosive. It's dynamic. He's able to do a lot of different things with that change of direction. So he's able to get out of his stance, explode out, and then also change direction back inside if he has to. But this is fantastic using those arms. The one thing that we're going to get to a little bit later is his dependence on the two-hand jab. I'd like to see it be a little bit more of a one hand, but he does a nice job locating it while Jonah Ellis is trying to kind of jump around, slap around. He's able to catch him here, and he's moving with him to the outside. Obviously, running back gets a chip there, and then he shuts him down, trying to come back to the inside. One other player that we're going to watch really quickly because he should be on the Chiefs' radar as well is Jalen McMillan, the Washington receiver, the number, quote unquote, number 3 receiver, measured in a little bit bigger than I expected him to. But watch how he sees the defense here. He sees that linebacker underneath. He cuts his route a little bit short here, so it's a slant. So right here, he sees this defender coming down, and he's going to motion his route instead of going right into that defender. He's going to take it around here into open space. Just a nice little wrinkle here I want to show you guys for a player who's probably on the Chiefs' radar on day 3 because of his injury. Definitely something to watch. But the explosion, the lower half agility, and the speed to get to his spot before Ellis gets to his spot is one of the things that I really wanted to highlight, because that hand position also can get outside, specifically like we saw back here. Let's just go back really quickly so I can show you on the end point here. He gets his hand wrapped around. So just clean that up just a little bit. You don't want to be holding out there, because then obviously if you have Patrick Mahomes and he comes out here to rush around with that pressure, or even if he comes up here to run, if you get caught holding, that can be an issue. We've seen in Kansas City happen multiple times over the past year plus with some of these penalties. So, but again, one of those really big important things is communication. You see him pointing to number 91 and he's kind of firing, right? So what it looks like is communicating between the Washington offensive line here specifically is that they believe that Texas is going to be blitzing just about everybody. So they think blitz, or rusher, blitz, rusher. That's what this tells me. Because when you see someone saying fire, typically the offensive lineman communicating to the quarterback that this guy's going to be free on his own. We are shifting the offensive line to the right. It is the quarterback's now responsibility to pick up the free rusher, okay? So you have to have eyes on that at all times. But what ends up happening, as we'll see, is it doesn't end up that way. But he is communicating to the quarterback, say, this is your responsibility. I'm not picking him up because we are shifting, and it's zero protection. Now the running back is out of the backfield, and all of that comes to Troy having to say, look, you have to pick up this free rusher on your own because we are shifting to the right. And now, boom, right there. We see the guys come out. Looks like they attempted to blitz initially, but not coming at the end of the day. So the communication aspect is there based off of the calls that are given to him on the offensive line. So he does his job communicating to the quarterback well, and he also is able to communicate with his guards, and he's a good player to have next to a really experienced player in a guy like, I don't know, say Joe Thuney, who will be, again, starting at left guard for the Chiefs next year. He's definitely somebody that would be helpful there. He'll learn quickly. He has a lot of experience, and he has the length, again, to stay at tackle in the NFL. So now you got him on the left side here in the red zone. This is one of those players that is a good run blocker, but when he gets in the red zone, he turns it up a notch, and he is a very powerful player. Again, using that explosive lower half, he's able to get underneath some of these defensive ends and really power them out of the way. He's somebody that you can run behind in the red zone and in this lower area inside the 5-yard line. So this is just quarterback keeper, where it's going to be zone basically outside everywhere except for number 73, who's going to kind of take it a little bit of a different route. But you've got everyone blocking down, right? Everyone. And then they're also going to lead block with the running back. So you have Michael Penix Jr. just following his blocks to the outside. And watch how, he gets out of his stance, and then he's going to come up underneath this guy right there. You see number 81 getting up a little bit high out of his stance, and Troy is going to push him back right there, explode up through the defensive end, get him off, and then on a line. He can then close him off, which he does right here very well. And he loops around these both players and cuts them off just in case this is going to be, a cutback lane or things like that for the quarterback. Or, that would also be for the running back. But very good red zone blocker, powerful, explosive with those 34-plus inch arms. He's a guy you definitely can run behind, and something that the Chiefs would like right now at their left tackle. Whether it's going to be Wanya Morris or not, those are traits that the Chiefs have been missing without Orlando Brown, who's a very good run blocker. And the difference between, Wanya Morris and a guy like Troy Fautanu is that he's got very good pass protection skills. Now, the one deficiency that we can talk about with a guy like Wanya Morris, because he oversets a lot or he's late out of his stance. The one thing you're not really going to see from Troy is that he's not going to be late out of his stance, but he will overset, whether that's inside or whether it's outside. And when you do that, you have to be able to rely on your technique and your punches. So right here, they're gonna shift the offensive line down, and Chris Jenkins, number 94, is gonna rush to the inside and then quickly to the outside as they are shifting out. You'd like to see him use a one-hand stab, all right? So you have a tendency, again, to overset, but this is a two-hand issue. When you are attacking this player who's going to be coming from inside outside with two hands and not just your inside hand, it puts you at a disadvantage. And you're going to see right here when he engages with both hands, it makes him a little top heavy. So we're going to slow it down right there. You can see he ended up getting outworked right over the top of his stance. So really quickly, again, we'll see right here. Now, Chris Jenkins uses his left hand, this left hand right here, to kind of slap at the same time. But since Troy's engaging with both arms, it does leave you in this unappetizing looking position where you're a little top heavy now. Your feet aren't directly under your shoulders. You're not able to move with them as much, and it gives the defensive player leverage, okay? So when you have that upper body strength and that power that a guy like Chris Jenkins does, he can then work the slap, rip, and then this is where it gets out of wonk, because now shoulders are out here, your hips are behind you, this foot's all the way out here. You are basically going to be falling on the ground. So the two-hand stuff is really where he needs to clean up. What I'd like to see is him attack with that inside hand. Since he's moving to the right, stab with your inside hand, the right hand, and then keep your left hand free. Because if you stab with the right, you get him off balance a little bit, then you can come back with the left hand and you're not out of place like this, you're not out of position. So that's something that needs to be addressed in his game. Two hands are fine if you continuously time them well. The problem is when you have those quick interior defenders or defensive ends that can swim, swipe, rip through, your two hands become less valuable as a player. So here again, we've got more of that hand usage. And what I like, it's good hand carriage, but why the two hand, again, isn't ideal. One of his biggest gripes, and that's why I'm harping on it right here, is that two hand. But what we see here from him is the hand carriage is good. They're up, they're waiting, and there's the initial one hand stab. The initial one's okay. Don't bring it back with the inside hand. Leave it to the outside. Keep your feet with you. And then if he goes back to the inside, then re-engage with your right hand. Now you have that ability. But since now he's once again in that same position we talked about, where he's got two hands outstretched and his shoulders are going to be out in front of him. Once again, he leaves himself right there to a counter, to an inside counter. When you have both of those hands out, it's not ideal. So he has very good typical hand placement, and his jabs are quick, they're sudden. The two hand can give him a lot of leverage, but if you're not perfect with it every single time, it needs to be countered. Again, this was a good start. It was exactly how I wanted him to go with it. The feet are underneath him. He's stabbing with his outside hand, giving his left hand or his right hand the ability to come back with a counter. The problem is right there. So we have the mental stability for Troy Fautanu to say, okay, I have this in my bag with my length, with my quickness. I can do this. I don't need to resort to that two hand all the time. So again, back at the top of your screen here on that offensive line, he does mix up his abilities to go from vertical to 45 and a little bit of an aggressive. But this is what I like about Troy, is that he's got really good upper body strength too. And then he's back at that two hand, but he comes back with it, takes one of them off, and then rips those arms down. He's going to take his right hand and just chop across the number 91's arms. And you're going to see right here just a really fantastic job of kind of a snatch technique, but not at the same time. So he's going to initiate contact with both hands. Again, right there is the two-hand jab, but this time he's going to disengage with his left hand, okay? So he comes off with it, and this is where I really love the sense of awareness. So you have a defender who now is over top heavy, much like Troy was in the last couple of plays, where the defensive player took advantage of it. Now we see him take advantage of it. So that left hand comes off, and it kind of brings him back into the body, into the chest a little bit. And then he's going to take his right hand, and boom, you're done. He's gone. It's devastating what he does right here. It's quick. He takes off that left hand and then just slaps with his right hand down right here, and he's done. Balance gone. So that's another understanding of leverage. So he needs to do a better job of putting himself at more of this advantage and not at the disadvantage that the defender was right here. But this is a really nice change up from what he's been doing. It was more of an attack set, and he was able to get that defender to try to push through him and takes those arms away. Really understanding a really nice job of getting that leverage figured out. And this is what I mean by being able to switch up his technique. From that 45-degree angle set, you have, this is what I mean. For those of you that don't know, I should do a better job of explaining this. You have about 3 different ways to set as an offensive lineman. Vertical, you come pretty much back directly, a 45-degree angle, which is, right there from here, or an attack set, okay? Typically, that's what this looks like. You have that 90-degree angle vertical attack and then the 45 in between each one. So you're going to see right here, Troy's going to take a step on that 45, right? Or actually on that vertical. On the vertical plane, he takes a step back right away, and then he initiates contact. And the edge rusher was not expecting that. So when you're able to switch up your cadences, much like the offense does with a quarterback, you can switch up what you're doing as a pass setter, your hand technique, with the different ways you're attacking. You throw that edge rusher off and you delay them. So right here, again, it's going to be vertical, attack, back into a set. So he attacks with those 2 hands, then he drops back. So he gives himself some time as well. All these different mixing of his abilities here is really on display, and it's one of the big reasons I like what he offers. Washington, this is really more of just fun for me to look at specifically because what they were doing with him. Troy Fautanu is so athletic that he could play move tight end. It would not shock me if he caught a pass in the NFL, if he caught multiple passes in the NFL. But right here, they're going to put him as the tight end to the left side. They bring in their backup tight end, Culp, number 83, line him up at tackle. And then they get a little crazy with it. He's also, Fautanu's a fantastic help blocker. We know he's got the athletic ability. The power is there. We've seen that in his jab. But now they're moving him from left to right. He's coming down as a tight end, and he's a great help blocker. So watch this. He's just going to wash down the left side right here. Goodbye. He's going to help that guard take his player away. And again, a good player to run behind because of that lower half explosion, because of his ability to get down the line and then just take guys' heads clean off. He's a fantastic blocker in the red zone, like we mentioned earlier. And what he does from a power perspective is not what I expected when I turned on his film. Typically, you see those guys that are great athletes that move well in space, get to the next level, pull. He does all of that, and there's a reason I'm not showing it because we see it in his movement skills. I'm not going to show you guys him getting to the second level, getting to you doing a pull because it's very evident the way he moves that I don't need to show you that. One of the bigger, most important things we talked about was his ability to, again, use those 2 hands, figure that out. I do think some power at the next level is going to be where he needs to improve next. It's the anchor ability, not putting himself at a disadvantage and allowing guys to get in his chest. So the anchor is going to be something he needs to improve upon as well. He has the tools to do that and getting into a room with a guy like Andy Heck, who's a fantastic offensive line coach, is one of those things. But we've seen this time before. I'm not going to say he's going to be Mitch Schwartz, guys, but we've seen Mitch, the technician, work this. So he's going to flash his left outside hand to the pass rusher and get him just to give away what he wants to do. Just flash it right there. So we see him then dip to the inside and then work outside. So Troy now opens his hips up and engages and pushes him into the ground, and then finishes the play off. That is, again, the brain power. The seeing what's happening, how the play is unfolding, what this rusher is doing. How can I engage him? He's got those active hands. Again, when we're talking about hand carriage, where are your hands when you're in your set, when you're in your drop? If they're down closer to your legs, it's not a good sign. It allows those edge rushers to get into your chest and push you back, but he carries his hands up very well, Really nice job here. Always keeping that inside hand available just in case, you know, you see someone slash this way. He needs to help inside. So he's a very aware player, good peripheral vision. And right here we get to see, again, that flash of the hand in unison with his drop step, and then flip those hips out and power. And that play is over. So Troy Fautanu is going to be, in my opinion, an excellent offensive lineman. I believe that he's going to be a great tackle. I do know that there are people that believe he could be an all-pro guard, which I understand, and that makes a lot of sense. So if you're the Chiefs, I think that if Troy Fautanu was there, if you're in striking range and the receivers you're like aren't there, and you can trade up to go get a player like this is when you make that move. Because, like I said, draft in the trenches and start your best 5. Let's say next year, Wanya Morris wins the left tackle starting job. And the year after, the Chiefs decide not to either extend or bring back Joe Thuney. You have your left guard immediately in-house because Troy Fautanu can slide in and do that. Or you bring him back and you say, well, Trey, it's been nice knowing you, but we're not going to bring you back. Now you have options. That's why these in the trenches and drafting players in the first round that have good skill sets like Troy Fautanu, there's going to be lots of guys we'll talk about. I'm not going to give them away, but it makes a lot of sense because you can do so many different things with offensive linemen that are athletic in Andy Heck's system. It makes a lot of sense because of what they can do. So Troy Fautanu is a fantastic option. Left tackle, guard, it doesn't really matter. I'm playing him at tackle first because he's shown the capability to be able to do that with the skill set, the movement skills, and his long arms. And the Chiefs have those benchmarks at tackle with the length, unless you're a real good technician like Mitch Schwartz was. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that like, the bell, and the sub. Become a member of Rogue Nation today. And I was hopeful that my film review of Troy Fautanu earned a like from you all today. Have a fantastic week. I'm hopeful that this comes out on Wednesday because what the Chiefs do in free agency or the legal tampering period can change how they attack the draft. But this is hopefully going to be on Wednesday. So if you guys are seeing this, have yourselves a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.